All right, I'm Bill Hargenrader, co-author of the upcoming book, Love, Forgive, Never Give Up. Here today with the 33 Days of Love Challenge, where we interview an author or an expert that shares a story, a lesson on how love impacted their life, so you can take that away and start putting that into play in your life right away. Today I have a really fun guest, one of my best friends from back in high school, Samara O'Shea. Samara, welcome.
Hi, Bill. Thanks for having me.
Hi. So Samara's gonna share some from her book and share some of her lessons, but I'm gonna get into her bio real quick so you know a little more about her. So in 2006, Samara O'Shea launched a website and offered to write letters for people who felt they could not express themselves very well. That endeavor led to her to writing 2 books paying homage to the written word and its healing powers. Her 3rd book, entitled Loves Me Not: How to Survive and Thrive in the Face of Unrequited Love, offers inspiration and guidance for those suffering from one-sided love. Samara has written for Women's Day, Country Living, Mary Claire, and the Huffington Post. Samara just completed a master's in social work with the end goal of being a licensed clinical social worker and having her own therapy practice someday. All right, well, I'm honored to have you on here. Like I said, one of my best friends from back in the day. So Samara, we're gonna turn it over to you. What do you got for us?
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here. I'm so excited about your project. Thank you for including me. So I'm going to read a short bit from the book you just mentioned, Loves Me Not: How to Survive and Thrive in the Face of Unrequited Love. And this book essentially chronicles the many terrible dating decisions I made for about 10 years. You know about some of them.
I do.
And how I learned to overcome my self-defeating behaviors. And that's what I want to talk a bit about today.
Great.
The problem with dating and, sort of other life pursuits can be that we think we're acting in our own best interest. The mindset can be, hey, I like that guy, therefore I'm willing to do anything to be with him, even humiliate myself or ignore my own needs. And unfortunately, as I found, that's not love. That's desperation or obsession, and it comes from a place of emptiness. I am emotionally empty and I want another person to fill me up. Whereas love comes from a place of fullness. I am secure with who I am and I want to share that with someone who is also secure with who they are. So I'm going to read a short section of my book called Flattery and Random Gift Giving Will Get You Nowhere. And this is the type of behavior that those of us who have longed to have our romantic feelings returned have participated in many times.
Oh, yeah.
I am reading from my computer screen. I do not have this memorized. So here we go. Flattery and random gift giving will get you nowhere. I called a guy friend of mine one night and asked what he was up to. He said dejectedly, "I'm drawing a picture of a cartoon donkey." I responded slowly, "Okay, why?" He confessed, "It was Carla's favorite cartoon as a kid, so I'm drawing it. I know this isn't going to work, but I'm still doing it." Carla had blown my friend off several times. Tonight, the plan was to draw the donkey, he's a very talented artist, and show up at the bar where she worked to deliver it in a valiant gesture. I thought, that's really dumb, and I've done the same thing. It's so much easier to see other people's gaffes than it is to see our own. My preferred method has been writing. My thinking went like this. I'll write him a letter, flatter him to pieces. It'll make him feel so good about himself that he'll want to receive such letters from me every day. Mind you, this has yet to work, and it didn't work for my artist friend either. Carla said thank you, as any human being with a beating heart would, and went about her business of not returning his calls. When things aren't going as planned with a person of desire, oftentimes we get this novel idea. I know, I'll be nice to him. I'll be so nice. I'll be the nicest person there ever was. And that way he'll have to have me around because there's no one nicer. And this can have the unintended effect of making us look not nice, but needy. Going out of your way for someone who won't give you the time of day inadvertently gives him or her permission to take advantage of you. And it also sets you up to feel belittled by your own behavior. You convince yourself you're doing a selfless deed when really you're just making a covert attempt to get what you want. When being nice to the umpteenth power doesn't produce the desired result, you may throw yourself a little pity party. For example, a girlfriend of mine was getting the cold shoulder from a man she'd been out with a few times. She knew he was going to Costa Rica, so she made him a mini travel kit and dropped it off at his apartment. He wasn't home, so she left it with his roommate. And the next day, when she hadn't received a thank you text from him or any text from him, she was incensed. "This is who I am," she said to herself. "I'm just a nice person. What's wrong with being a nice person?" And there's nothing wrong with being nice for the sake of being nice. But here's the catch. The wonderful thing about being a pleasant person is it's a reward in and of itself. If you hold the door open for someone and a smile in exchange is all you need, you're good. Or if you do a friend a favor and you know it'll come back to you in some way, but you don't care when or how, then all is well with your friendship. When you give gifts or do unrequested favors for someone you have romantic feelings for, however, you're not doing it for nothing in return. You want everything in return. You want his attention, his affection, his undying love. You want him to know that you are the sweetest thing there ever was. So think about it. These gestures are more for you, for me, than they are for the other person. Paradoxically, you improve your chances of the relationship working out by walking away. My friend Lori met a hot guy at a wedding a few years ago, and they exchanged contact information, but he was pussyfooting around when it came time to making plans, and she got sick of it. She said, "Look, I don't need a pen pal. Take care." He responded immediately and said, "I'll call you this weekend." They're married now. They've been married for a few years. My Aunt Jennifer's boyfriend, George, broke up with her with the typical "let's be friends," and she said, "No, I have enough friends." And a few weeks later, he came back. They've been married for 12 years. Now, for the record, walking away does not guarantee that the other person will recant. As a matter of fact, I think these are special cases. 9 times out of 10, if a person is not interested and you walk away, he or she will not follow. But this is a win-win. If you turn your back and it causes the other person to get their act together and come after you, great. If not, then it frees you up to meet men who are interested. In either case, it keeps you from being a lackey. This is difficult to accept at first, that being nice isn't going to get you what you want, but a lot of what we're doing here in this book is forgetting everything we knew to be true and reprogramming ourselves. It will feel like you're going against the grain initially, but if you stick with it, I guarantee you'll feel better about yourself. Next time you feel the urge to be super duper nice with sprinkles on top to a man who is looking the other way, stop and ask yourself, why exactly am I doing this? I'm not suggesting that you be mean, just be neutral and maybe a little cold in the name of self-preservation until he gives you reason to act otherwise. If you do feel the overwhelming desire to give gifts, give them freely and often to the people who have already made it clear that they want you in their lives, not those whose love and or friendship you hope to obtain. Your company is gift enough. If someone doesn't see that, then keep calm and carry on. End of reading.
No, that's awesome. I got so many thoughts from that. But I mean, so for instance, I just not even in relationships, but when you're giving a gift, when you're holding a door, when you say, you know, you might be jogging past somebody in the park, which I was today, and I, smiled and nodded. And in the past, if somebody doesn't return your smile or nod, or actually just kind of gives you the cold shoulder, sometimes you have to feel like, bad, like I was hoping they would give a smile back.
Right.
Now what I do is I have a filter, and that when I give out that joy, that happiness, that love, if it is returned, the filter says allow that in. If the cold shoulder is given, it blocks that, and I actually just literally smile even harder, like, hey, I'm going to give myself that extra boost. I've seen just that happen. I think that might be applicable to what you're talking about here.
Yes, exactly. We look to other people for validation, and a lot of times the way we do it is by giving them things, sort of just by being nice. And then after, when that doesn't work out, when that doesn't give us, the desired result, we feel bad and sort of blame the other person, when really, did we have any right to expect anything in return? It's great when you get something in return. You don't always, and you kind of have to be prepared for that.
Yeah. Selflessness. Another thing about being prepared to let things go. I met my wife Danielle, as you well know, in Cancun. A year later, we got married, but there was a lot of separation, or us moving apart, like things that we basically gave ourselves the space to realize that we wanted each other. And sometimes if you're too close, too long, too much, you might not give yourself the opportunity to realize that you actually need to be together, and you can forget that, right?
Absolutely. I think space is so important in relationships, and that goes against our instinct, which is to nag and sort of demand that I need a commitment right now. I need an answer right now. Whereas like, all I can do is tell you what I want. I want to be with you, and I'm going to give you the space and the time to figure out what you want. Because even though you'd love to force the issue, what you really want is the person to want to be there of their own free will, and not because you're telling them they have to, or we've been dating for 10 years, you better put a ring on my finger.
Exactly. Awesome. So we could go on and on about this, and we probably will interview you in the future, but we're keeping this 33 Days of Love Challenge series to the around the 10-minute mark. So I know you have a lesson that's kind of wrapped up in a poem. Do you want to share that with us?
Yes. So I am taking a certification class on cognitive behavior therapy, and our teacher showed us last week, she shared this poem with us, and it really sort of emphasizes how you slowly sort of take responsibility for yourself and your own actions. And with what I read, a large part of it for me was realizing, don't go out of your way for people who aren't treating you well. And this poem applies heavily to people with addiction problems, but anybody who's been in an, unrequited love situation, bad dating situations, I think it will apply as well. So I will read the poem. It is called Autobiography in 5 Short Chapters. And it really is short, despite the word autobiography. And it's written by a woman named Portia Nelson, who is an actress and a writer. And for any of you Sound of Music fans out there, she played Sister Bertha in the original Julie Andrews Sound of Music. So that's a fun fact. So here we go. Autobiography in 5 short chapters. Chapter 1. I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am hopeless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place. But it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it there. I fall in. It's habit, but my eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5. I walk down another street.
Nice.
Get it?
Oh, yeah, no, I get it. I get it. I like it. You had me. I mean, I was almost tearing up a little there. I like that. So what's the overarching lesson that's
you have the overarching message is that you have more control over your own life than we think. Yeah. Nobody likes to take responsibility for their own actions at first, I think, because I don't want anything to be my fault. Surely you don't want anything to be your fault. But slowly, as you do take responsibility for your actions and prevent yourself from, acting out in the same ways in the future, you realize, okay, I've got all the trust I need right here. I don't need to trust other people as much as I need to trust me and know that I won't lead myself back into that hole.
I like that. And so to kind of give a few words, so we're talking about self-trust, and self-trust leads to self-love.
Mm-hmm. A woman actually emailed me this week and told me her sort of unrequited love story. She's very upset that things didn't work out. And at one point she said, how do I ever trust again? And I said, I was nervous to say this because I know this isn't what everyone wants to hear when their heart is broken. But I said, the way you trust is by building up your own self-trust. And I pointed out to her, I said, when you told me this story, I saw a big red flag with this guy before, it ultimately came to its end. And maybe next time you see something like that, don't move forward. And she very graciously said, you're right, I did see that. And I ignored my instincts and I went ahead anyway. And I was glad she said that because she could have easily, told me to, go to hell.
I like that. It feels like, because a lot of times people say, well, self-love, it's this huge thing. So what are some of the steps I can get to self-love? And you can start with self-trust, learning to trust yourself, being open to trusting yourself, looking for that hole, walking down a different street.
I think one thing that can help is looking back on situations where you did make mistakes and seeing what role you played. And that doesn't mean other people didn't do anything wrong. In a lot of cases they did. It just means you're the only person you have any control over. So look at the situation and say, okay, yes, that person did something wrong, but I allowed myself to be treated that way. Yeah. And then you bring control right back to yourself.
Bam, bring control right back. So speaking of bringing control back, I'm gonna bring control back to this interview. We're gonna wrap things up.
Awesome.
Really
It went too
appreciate you.
fast.
I know. I'm looking at you. Actually, we went a little over, but I'm okay with it. I think that we've been watching and listening, that Samara's message has been resonating with you. Check out her book, Loves Me Not, on Amazon. Google it. For now, though, we're going to wrap up this 33 Days of the Challenge series. What the series is about is we're launching a book. I'm launching a book, co-writing with my wife, called Love, Forgive, Never Give Up. Samara will be a featured author in that book, sharing some of her wisdom. So if you have a chance, you want to check it out, go to loveforgivenevergiveup.com. Learn more about that. Otherwise, we'll see you on the next video in the 33 Days of Love Challenge series. Take care. Bye, Samara.
Thank you.
Bye.